In this chapter, we're going to look at the binomial expansion. So we looked at binomial expansion last year, but this year we're going to be looking at a new version of the binomial expansion formula, which is going to help you expand brackets when they are raised to either fractional or negative powers. In this video, I'm going to derive the new binomial expansion formula. This is not strictly needed in exams, so if you're just here to revise what you need for the exams, do feel free to skip over this video. But if you're interested to see where the formula comes from, stick around. Alright, let's begin with a reminder of what binomial expansion looked like from last year. Let's say we were expanding this here, 2 plus 3x to the power 5, and we were going to do it in ascending powers of x. Throughout this chapter, we're pretty much always going to be working in ascending powers of x. So let's just get the first few terms. So as a reminder, we take 5, choose 0 initially, and then we're going to have all the 2's, so 2 to the power 5, and none of the 3x's. And then in the next term, it's going to be 5, choose 1. And then we'll have all of the 2's apart from 1, so 4 of the 2's, and 1 of the 3x's, and so on. And in the next term, it's 5, choose 2, and we'll have 3 of the 2's, and 2 of the 3x's. And then we just continue this until we're done. So if we expand this, well, 5 choose 1 is 5 choose 0 is 1, and 3x to the 0 is 1. So this is just 2 to the power 5, which is 32. And then we've got 5 choose 1 is 5, and I'll just do this on the calculator. And 2 times 2 to the power of 4, and then we've got 1 of our 3x's, so I multiply by 3, so that's 240. So 240x. And then here I've got 5 choose 2, which is 10, multiplied by 2 cubed, and then multiplied by 3 squared. And that's 720. So far we've got 32 plus 240x plus 720x squared, and that would continue until we had got to our x to the power 5 term. Now, what's the general version of this? We're going to use the general expansion of some p plus q to the n to help us see what's going on when n is not a positive whole number. So when we're expanding this, our first term is we have n choose 0, and then initially we have all of the p's, so that's p to the power of n, and we have no q's, q to the power of 0. And in our next term we have n choose 1, and then we've got all but one of the p's, so p to the n minus 1, and then we've got q to the power of 1, and so on. N choose 2, p to the power of n minus 2, and q to the power of 2. And this is going to continue until we've got through all of our terms. So let's see if we can give a little bit more detail here, and specifically let's see if we can dig into these choose terms. So I know, for example, that n choose 0 is always 1. Anything choose 0 is 1. And so is q to the 0. So the first term is always just p to the n. All right, but what about the next term? So n choose 1, well, what's that? In terms of n, that is. Well, let's dig into what the choose function is. Remember, the definition of the choose function is n choose r is n factorial divided by r factorial n minus r factorial. Okay, so what does that mean that n choose 1 is? Well, n choose 1 is n factorial divided by 1 factorial and n minus 1 factorial. We'll come back to this more in a second. And then I've got that times p to the n minus 1 and q to the 1. And then n choose 2 is n factorial over 2 factorial n minus 2 factorial. And that's times p to the n minus 2 q squared, and so on. So what can we do with these? Well, let's look at n choose 1. So n factorial over 1 factorial times n minus 1 factorial. So this is n choose 1. So what that means is on the numerator, we've got all the numbers up to n multiplied up. So that's n times n minus 1 times n minus 2 times everything all the way down to 3 times 2 times 1. And on the denominator, well, 1 factorial is just 1, so I won't bother with that. And n minus 1 factorial is all the numbers multiplied up to n minus 1. So that's n minus 1 times n minus 2, and then times everything down to 3 times 2 times 1. Well, look at all the cancelling we can do here. Cancel the 1s, cancel the 2s, cancel the 3s, cancel everything, cancel the n minus 2s, cancel the n minus 1s, and all I'm left with is n. So look, n choose 1 is just n. So let's rewrite this again. P to the power of n. Now, this was n choose 1, and that's just n. And then I had p to the n minus 1 and q to the 1. I'll just put q. Okay, what about this? This was n choose 2. So if I think about what that one means, well, I've got n factorial on the top, so that is, once again, n times n minus 1 times n minus 2, and then everything all the way down to 3 times 2 times 1. And then we're dividing that by r factorial, so 2 factorial, and then n minus 2 factorial. So that is all the stuff from n minus 2 down to 3 times 2 times 1. Okay, tons of cancelling again. Cancel the 1s, cancel the 2s, cancel the 3s, cancel everything up to n minus 2. And what are we left with? Well, we're left with n times n minus 1. And then on the bottom, we've just got 2 factorial, which is just 2, but we'll just leave it as 2 factorial. And then that was multiplied by p to the n minus 2 and q squared. Now there's a pattern that's going to build up here. If it was n choose 3, we would have cancelled everything apart from the n minus 1 and the n minus 2. The n minus 2 would have survived, and then we would have just had a 3 factorial here. So n choose 3 is n minus 1, n minus 2, all over 3 factorial. And then we would have p to the n minus 3 and q cubed. So what's nice about this formula which I'm developing here is that I'm expressing all these choose functions in terms of n in such a way that it doesn't technically matter if n is a positive whole number, right? I could put any number into this formula. All right, so here it is written neatly. Now, if we're going to use this for values of n which are not positive whole numbers, then notice that it is going to be infinite. The reason is, if n is a positive whole number, then at some point your choose function will just get to 0. For example, if n was 2, by the time we got here, we would get 2, 2 minus 1, 2 minus 2, that gives me a 0 there, and then all subsequent terms would have a 2 minus 0, which 2 minus 2, which is just 0. So everything beyond that point would just be dead. And if n is any positive whole number, you will at some point reach a term where you're just subtracting itself from the number and it gives you 0. However, if n is 5.5, then none of these numerator terms will ever be 0, which means it's just going to go on forever. Or if n is negative, it will go on forever. So that's not particularly useful for us to have an expansion which is infinite and keeps on giving us interesting stuff to work out. So what we can do is we can make a couple of stipulations which make this really, really nice and useful. The first one is to insist that p is 1, because if you insist that p is 1, it means that this first term p to the n is just 1, and then all of these p terms here, they're always just 1, which means they're always really, really simple to work out. Alright, so that's already made things simple. There's one more thing we want to do, which is notice that my q terms, I've got no q's here, then I've got q then I've got q squared, then I've got q cubed. What I'd like to do is just increasingly ignore the terms. Like, I don't want to have to think about the 1000th term in this expansion. Now, if q is a big number like 5, well, the 1000th term is going to have q to the power of 999, which is enormous if q is 5. So what could we insist about q that means that by the 1000th term it's just irrelevant? Well, one thing we can do is insist that q is less than 1, or strictly speaking that it's between -1 and 1. So I'm going to write this in the way we did in a previous chapter, that the modulus of q needs to be less than 1. And what this means is that the further we go along, the more that q bit just disappears. In fact, the whole thing is just crushed by that. For example, if q is a half, then already by the time we've got q cubed, that's a half cubed, which is an eighth, which is quite small. The 10th term will be q to the power of, well, the q to the 10 term, we've got half to the power of 10, which is less than 1 in 1,000. So it just means the further we go along, the more that term just disappears. So if we insist these two things, we're going to end up with something genuinely useful. So let's just rewrite it in these terms. So I'm going to insist that p is 1. And then the other thing we're going to do is, rather than have a single term q, I'm going to talk about it as being something times x, because that just gives us a variable and a coefficient. It's going to be useful to have it in that term. And we're going to need ax to be less than 1, or the modulus of ax to be less than 1. So if I have 1 plus ax to the power of n, what does that give me? Well, p is 1, so p to the n is just 1. And I can just ignore all of the p terms because they're all just 1. So what I have in my next term is just n, and then q is ax, so just n times ax. And my next term, n minus 1 over 2. The p to the n minus 2 stuff, that's just 1 to the power of something, so that's just gone. Q squared, so that's ax squared. And then I've got n minus 1, n minus 2 over 3 factorial. And then p to the n minus 3 is just 1, so I can ignore it. And then the q term, that's just ax cubed, and so on. So this is an infinite expansion, but because ax is between -1 and 1, these bits just disappear. Okay, these ax cubed, ax to the 4, ax to the 10, they're just going to get smaller and smaller and smaller, and my expansion becomes less and less useful. Okay, so that is the year 13 binomial expansion. In the next video, we're going to see how we can use it. All right, see you there.